clad figures standing in the corner of their rooms.
Heavens.
There were flashing lights showing through the skylight in their kitchen. They heard beeping noises that had no obvious source.
Mm-hmm.
One night, a mysterious dog suddenly appeared in their lounge room and ran into the bedroom of their younger son, Ben, who was also going through a lot of night terror experiences in which he would go into a deep trance state. They actually contacted this mutual friend who happened to be my Reiki teacher, and he went and did a Reiki cleanse on the house thinking that that would help, and it actually made the activity worse. So he then contacted me and described to me what was going on, and by the description of the figures and the fact that the Reiki had actually made the activity worse, I guessed that it was ET activity, because in fact the Zetas, and I believe all ETs, absolutely love Reiki energy because it's such a positive energy source. And I heard from Helene the next day, and we spoke at length, and I reassured her, tried to help her through the fear factor, and we stayed in contact, and eventually her older daughter, Kira, who would have been 12 years old at that time, managed to move past the fear barrier and established fully conscious contact with one of the tall Zetas that she came to know as Horus. And Horus became then a very full an interesting part of our lives, and a lot of information was given through this young girl.
Now, you both believe you were friends as Zetas in previous lifetimes. How did you come to that conclusion?
Yes, well, this was very interesting because the very first time that Helene contacted me by phone, I immediately recognized her energy signature, and I had never met her down here physically.
Right.
But straight away, I recognized that energy signature. And I was very, very suspicious straight away that we'd known each other in the past. And it turns out that we actually spend quite a lot of time together working how the term we use upstairs on the disc.
Tell us about the disc.
Okay. The disc is actually a living entity, and it's operated by a crew who access life force energy. That is a motivating energy. The discs aren't run by rockets or fuel or anything like that. It's purely energy, and the crew place their hands on like a control console and channel this energy through, rather like we do down here in Reiki, only we do it on a much, much smaller scale. They, of course, are able to access a huge amount of energy. All the crew members are attuned, or I should say, perhaps say the disc is attuned to the energy frequency of all the crew members. So it's almost like they're the brains and the nervous system of the disc, but the disc itself is a living entity.
Sounds like a symbiotic relationship.
Yes, yes.
I'm trying to understand the correlation between the ETs and Reiki. You said that they like the positive energy that is associated with Reiki. Does this mean that they actually live off of, or they thrive, the positive energy that Reiki people expel? Yes,
well, Reiki energy is basically, the term we use is universal life force energy. It's like God energy, source energy.
Okay.
And when a person's attuned to Reiki, we're actually able to access this energy and pass it through our body. It's sort of almost like a tap being turned on. It's an automatic process. Now, this is a very high-frequency energy. We're talking about higher frequency dimensions here. To the ETs, everything is to do with energy. They're not very much into physical existence at all. They've more or less moved past that, particularly groups like the Zetas. So they relate to everything in the universe as energy. So a very high-frequency energy, such as healing energy, Reiki, or any other sort of form of energy like that, they can really relate to it.
Would this then mean, in your opinion, that people who participate in Reiki would be ideal candidates for contact?
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. It's quite interesting because both Helene and I teach Reiki, and on a number of occasions, people who have come to us to learn to actually do Reiki themselves and have gone through the attunement process, they've then started having quite positive ET encounter experiences. In several instances, there were people who were scared. But once they were attuned to the Reiki energy, it's like it tuned their energy system up to a higher level, and they were able to understand more fully what was going on.
So I would imagine that what we can compare that to is that the Reiki energy puts both parties into perfect sync where communication can be established in a positive manner.
Absolutely, Rob. Yes,
Gotcha.
That's a very, very good way of putting it.
Gotcha. Now, what is the main thing that you learned from the ETs, Judy? And do you have any messages that you'd like to pass on to the worldwide audience of the Exo Nation?
Yes, look, absolutely, Rob. There's so much information, which of course is available in our books. There's three things that the Zetas have taught us. A is to look at everything, universe, etc., in terms of oneness, that we're all one.
Right.
We have the same source energy flowing through all of us, whether we're from planet Earth or we're Zetas, Pleiadians, whatever. The other message that they want to get across is for humans to always remember and bear in mind that all of us are immortal spiritual beings. We're not just a physical body. We are multidimensional beings. This is an extremely important thing to understand, which helps us pass the fear. They also want people to try and look at things in a deeper way. We down here tend to look at things on the shallow surface level, but everything is multidimensional. To sum up very quickly in a few words what we've been taught, we've been taught to understand the universe in terms of oneness, to understand the universe in terms of energy, and to understand ourselves in terms of oneness and energy, thus enabling us to choose love over fear.
Judy Carroll is our special guest of this hour, Exo Nation. We're talking about her contact with ETs. We're talking about her book that she wrote with Helene Kaye, entitled The Zeta Messages, I believe. The Zeta Message. And we're talking to Judy from her home in Australia. If you'd like to contact Judy, if you'd like to learn more, here's a couple of websites. www.thezetamessage.com. That's www.thezetamessage.com. And www.ufograyinfo.com. Now, Gray is spelled G-R-E-Y, so that's www.ufogreyinfo.com. And we've got to take our news break right now, Judy. We'll come back and talk more about this fascinating subject. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a great pleasure talking to you. Exo Nation, I'll be back on the other side of the news as we continue our investigation into the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone. From our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
She took me in and gave me breakfast. And she said, do you come from a land down under? Where women go and men wonder. Can't you hear the thunder? You better run, you better take.
My name is Rob McConnell, and I would like to tell you about a very special lady that I have the pleasure of knowing, and that's Miss Sylvia Anthony. Sylvia Anthony believes the golden years are a time to gear up and get busy, not relax and take it easy. She has faced many hardships in her 84 years, but they have made her stronger and more determined. As founder and president of Sylvia's Haven, a shelter for women and their children near Boston, Sylvia has helped transform over 1,086 lives in the past 27 years, not only with housing, but also providing direction as to where they can go to develop the earning skills they want and need to live free from difficult domestic situations. Sylvia's Haven is everything to Sylvia Anthony, even calling it her magnificent obsession. Women who qualify for the program at Sylvia's Haven receive assistance via guidance counselors to find the appropriate job opportunity. Women and their children may remain at the housing for up to 2 years. At the end of this time, or sooner, a woman who is successfully employed and has an apartment or home may leave Sylvia's Haven to begin a new and independent life. Now this is where you come in to help make Sylvia's dream into a reality. Sylvia's dream is to have a Sylvia's Haven in every state to help as many women and their children as she can, and to help this dream come true. A crowdfunding site has been established which can be accessed at www.sylviasdream.org. Now that's www.sylviasdream.org. With your financial help and support, Sylvia Anthony will continue to help those in their time of need, not only in the Boston area, but with her dream of having a Sylvia's Haven in every state of the United States. Your help is needed to make Sylvia's dream come true. Please visit and give at www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. And remember, the only difference between a dream and reality is just doing it. We need your help to make Sylvia's dream come true. Visit www.sylviasdream.org. Once again, www.sylviasdream.org. For the X Zone Radio TV show and the X Chronicles newspaper, I am Rob McConnell.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Spoonza, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X Zone.
This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. Judy Carroll's my special guest this hour. She is the co-author, along with Helene Kaye, of a very interesting book. Great book for Christmas time, by the way, Exonation. The Zeta Message. 2 websites, www.thezetamessage.com and www.ufogreyinfo.com. That's UFOGREY info.com. Judy, thanks very much for joining us and for sharing this fascinating story. Tell me, how did you feel writing about the book? What inspired you to write the book?
Well, my inspiration came, Rob, from a request by the Zetas. Mm-hmm. As you mentioned in the introduction, I had a very interesting contact experience over in the UK in 1995. And it was during that contact experience that I was asked to write a book. So many people who have contact with the Greys complain that they can't communicate or they won't communicate. And in actual fact, the difficulty is, again, to do with vibrational frequency. People need to be in the right brainwave state to be able to access Zeta communication. And so the suggestion was made that I write a book that actually approached the subject of human ET contact from the ET perspective, because all the books up until then had been written from the human perspective. And this is how our book, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, came to be. It's actually a compilation of the first 2 books, Looking Through Eyes of Love, Looking Through Eyes of Wisdom. These 2 have been put into a book called Human by Day, Zeta by Night. And, quite a bit has actually been added since the 2 have been brought together. So basically, you wrote the Rosetta Stone for ET Human Contact. Well, that's a very nice way of putting it. Yes, the book goes into huge amount of detail. It's actually a docudrama, in a way based on our non-fiction book, The Zeta Message, but it contains a huge amount of information.